Yeah, I'm Bob Turner from Bowen Island, and really I came because I know Grant Scott, and whatever Grant does is always interesting, but primarily herring, I've just come to realize what a foundational fish they are in my world, which is Howe Sound. We lost our herring for 20 years, and we lost everything with it, and in the last 20 years we've got our herring back, and I've watched firsthand what herring means to Howe Sound and our marine world. I've lived on Bowen Island at the mouth of Howe Sound for 30 years, and I'm a geologist by training, but I'm been drawn to the outdoors forever. And I got into kayaking early on, went out on the ocean, noticed that it was a pretty quiet ocean, and got into the whole game of why, and found out that the herring who had been the foundation fish were gone, and then over 20 years watched the herring return, and all the whales came back, the salmon came back, the wild birds, the marine birds came back. It was very empowering just to watch that return to life over what we call the Great Howe Sound recovery. It is a really good question as to why the herring collapsed, and I don't know. There was a herring fishery in Howe Sound. Whether it's linked to the loss of the herring, I do not know. But what I do know is that when the herring came back, a remarkable amount of marine life came with it. What I have heard today that really resonated is that place matters. That all these local populations of herring are core to what herring are, and but clearly that's not what DFO has been managing for. They've instead chosen to aggregate the populations, and as a consequence, it appears, we've lost so much of that local population. Something was said that really struck me today, and that was that the fishing fleets are a mobile predator. So are humpback whales. I mean, they can go to where the fish are. But a First Nations community that has a territory is not a mobile predator. I mean, they literally, in this day and age, if the herring don't come to them, they don't have herring. And that just seems like a grand injustice, that there is a commercial fishery that is satisfying itself, part of nature satisfying itself, but the First Nations can't. And that doesn't seem fair, and it just doesn't seem fair. Yeah. Well, last March, I went to the Hornby Island for the herring spawn, and I caught what was a very small part of the herring spawn, but I, in my kayak, went out and floated in it for about 8 hours. And it was extraordinary. And it was abundance as I have only imagined abundance, just because it was this vast mix of gulls and other seabirds and sea lions and seals, all sort of converging on the herring. And I thought to myself at the time, like, there's incredible intentionality here. Like, the herring have come here to spawn, everything else has come here to feed, whether they were feeding on the eggs or they were feeding on the herring themselves. And as imagining that type of abundance spread more broadly around Howe Sound, around the Salish Sea, to me is like that's the dream. As people said, the Saanich Inlet is now a quiet place, because that abundance that came with the herring is no longer there. And that just seems like an incredible tragedy, not just for the ecology, but for all of us who sort of want to be inspired by the ocean.